Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Mission Snapshot. Once again, we're very excited to have you here because in the studio today we have Veronica with us, and we have not talked about evening schools for a while, but today we are.
Yay.
And so, I know, yay. And so I'm glad to be able to hear something from our evening schools. And we will be dropping links to resources down below. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them as well. But I want to give the time to Veronica because we have these stories as of yesterday. So these are really hot off the press.
Yeah.
So where are we going to go first?
Well, I'm excited to be in this chair and be able to actually share some stories. It's very exciting. So first, we're actually just going to give a little brief overview.
Okay.
In January of this year, our team went to India and held some evangelistic series meetings, and we were working in E-Road, and as part of that effort, we wanted to start new schools there.
Right.
So in each of the villages that we held meetings, we wanted to leave them with a school so that the efforts could continue.
Right.
And shortly after leaving India and coming home, COVID hit. That's and there were lockdowns.
Yep.
And so we really didn't know what was happening with those new schools. We were excited that there was a possibility,
right.
But we had no way of finding out what was going on if they were able to get started at all. So yesterday we actually got some of our first updates about those schools.
Oh, yay.
And so we're going to start off by talking about those.
Okay.
And sharing some pictures that we got from them. And
so here's our first photo.
So this is, we have photos from 5 of the different schools, and I apologize, I don't know exactly which schools that we're looking at, but these are some of the ones in E-Road. And so it just shows that even during this lockdown, they have been able to have kids come in for food and learning about prayer and just very minimized interaction, obviously, because they are being careful with COVID and they can't run at full capacity like our other schools. They are still limited at what they can do. But we just wanted to share some of, the wonderful things that we've learned. So we have a couple other pictures that we can kind of show you guys here.
Okay. Ooh.
So as you can see, there's a lot of kids being able to be reached in these areas. It looks like here they're just listening to what instruction they're being given, but like I said, they're not there the whole time. It's not a full program, but there's still a lot of kids being reached, which is wonderful.
Right.
And I think the last one there just shows that it's not just kids, but some of the parents, it looks like, and other people in the community are there as well, being able to be influenced.
Right.
So it's a wonderful report to me to hear that these schools are functioning at some capacity and still able to reach the villagers and reach out as our other schools have been with food and prayer and hopefully teaching them a little bit about God. So I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I was excited to see the pictures because, as you mentioned, we did not know if the schools had been able to continue after we left because they locked down.
Right.
And this is one area that was really hit hard by COVID.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the last picture that we showed some more of the adults in the back of the room, and we know that a lot of the parents stay and listen to whatever their kids are learning, and that way the information grows because it's not only the kids but the parents. And so I really like this picture that you shared. So we were happy for the schools some of the schools being able to open in E-Road. We understand that not all of them have been able to open, but those that can and they're all doing what they can to help.
Yeah. So it's just, it's a wonderful blessing and good to see, especially during this time. A lot of the parents don't have work like they normally would.
Right.
So, even when schools and everything is running normally, we still have stories where parents stay and they hear what's going on.
Yeah.
But now especially, they're sending their kids to the schools because they know that's the only place open where they can get food. And sometimes they don't just send the kids, they come with them.
Yeah.
And so they're experiencing that as well.
Right.
The feel of being given to, and whatever is being able to be taught is being shared with parents, not just kids.
Exactly.
So.
And from the reports we've heard, the parents are very grateful.
Yes.
That the schools are able to provide the food for the children.
They're very grateful. It is, it's wonderful. And actually, our next story is going to go into that a little bit more. So let's just jump into that story.
Okay.
We have another story from Amaravati. And the slide is showing just the building, the church that's used for the school there in Amaravati. And so this, I don't, if you guys listened to some of our episodes before about the village, you know that it's, very poor. That's basically the only building that's there. Otherwise, it's just huts and, and it's a very poor village. Well, this story is actually about, I'm going to pull out my notes so I don't forget little things here, but so this is actually about a family who's not originally from Amaravati, but they're in a village very close. Topslip is where they're from.
Yep.
Topslip. And so it's a family of 6. It's a mother and father, and they have 4 kids. And so basically in their little village, much like Amaravati, it's a mountainous village, very tribal, not a lot of structure. And, with COVID and everything, they were kind of struggling. And so they decided to just kind of vacation, take a little trip down to Amaravati, kind of in search of something better, to see if maybe there's a better place to be. And their plan was to just be there a couple days. But when they got there, they kind of set up close to the school, and they immediately noticed that there was things happening there. And so it really caught their attention. And so they saw that kids were coming in and they were getting food, and they kind of heard some of the things being said. So it really caught their attention and their interest, and they thought, this is the perfect place. We need to stay here.
Right.
And so based on what they saw at the school, nothing else in the village, but just because of what was happening in the school, they decided to stay in Amaravati and participate and take part in what was happening there. And so they're very grateful, very thankful for what they saw, and it's just meant a lot to them to be able to find a place where they can get aid and get help.
Right, and I understand that they've built their own little hut, so to speak, because they truly have moved there.
Right, so they had nowhere, to be, so they've committed to staying by going ahead and building themselves a shelter and so they have their own little place to be there.
Right.
And they're all 4 kids are benefiting from the food and the little bit that they're being taught. Primarily it's Bible verses that we can share, or being taught how to pray and to the true God, and that He is there to listen. So those lessons are just, the villagers are just soaking that up right now, because that's what they need to hear.
Exactly. So we have talked about the Amaravati Evening School in prior episodes of Mission Snapshot. But if you're interested in learning more about this village, we'll drop a link below to the Jesus for Asia Now show on Amaravati, because this is by far the poorest village I've ever seen. And the fact that this family came to Amaravati for something better tells me that their living conditions where they were worse.
Yeah.
And they found what they were looking for. God led them to the place where they could connect with the evening school. And I love this story. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the impact the schools have is not just in this sole village that they're in.
Right.
You can see how that's impacting other villages, other people, all around, and its influence is spreading. So that's good.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's Amaravati. That's a wonderful update from them. And so our final story is coming from Madatukalam. And so in this story, we have a family who has 2 sons, and their older son kind of got up a ways in studies and decided, okay, I'm done. I don't want to study anymore. Their younger son is in 5th grade and still studying, and had been enjoying the evening schools and all of the things that we offer through the evening schools. And during this COVID time, you know, they, like many other families, are very grateful for the food and for what we're still providing.
Right.
But a couple things that stuck out, the mother of the boys actually came and spoke with the Bible worker and teacher there and said that she was so impressed by what we were doing, and that a couple points that, one, she was impressed because we were there helping no matter who came to our door.
Right.
So in India, there is a caste system, and they stick to that caste system. I mean, you know, if you're up here, you don't speak to someone down here, and there's not a lot of interaction between the different castes. Well, at our schools, we don't ask that question. We don't say, well, what side of the tracks are you from? You know, we don't. We just help. If a kid comes or a family comes and they need something, we help them. And she was so impressed with that. She said, nobody else does that. Everyone else is going to wonder where you're from. What, you know, do you have a right to be here? So she loved that fact. And she also specifically said that she could see Jesus in the work that we're doing, that we were the most like Jesus that she had seen, because no other church or temple or organization that she could see was helping anybody. There's not a lot of help going on. And from her perspective, we were the only ones. The you know, the Adventist church and school were the only ones trying to help. And she was just so impressed and said, you guys are showing what Jesus is and who Jesus is by your actions. And so that was just so touching to hear that, you know, her sons, her family is benefiting from what we're still able to do, providing food. But more than that, she can see that we have a connection to Jesus, and we are showing his true character by what we're doing there.
Yeah, so here's a photo of the outside of the Madatukulam Church, and you can't really see it in this shot, but it really is in the center of the village.
Yeah, there's buildings all around, and just a little walkway up to the church.
And so this is some place that she would have seen, you know, as a Hindu, and probably went, no, we're not going that way. But in her needs were met, and she saw Jesus, which I think is so cool.
Yes. And I think it's really neat that, I was just checking something on this story there, but it is good to mention, these are stories from Hindu families. I mean, these families, that is their base religion, that's what they know, but they can still recognize something better and something real. And I think that alone is amazing, that they make those comments, because, you know, they're not taught to look for something else, obviously, and they're, you know, they're taught to just follow their own religion and rules. But when you see that your temple is doing nothing, you know, you can go there and you can pray to the Hindu gods, but no person is coming and saying, what do you need? How can we help? And then they pass the Adventist church and they see everybody from all over coming and getting things, and they, you know, that's a true testament to Christ, which is what the mother saw. Thank you for these stories. I was really excited to hear them. As we mentioned, we just got these stories yesterday. So these are really fresh, and we're so thankful that even in the midst of this tragedy of COVID and people being out of work and not finding a lot of food and losing job, you know, that kind of thing, that God is saying, oh no, I'm still here, and I'm going to show them who I am, even in the midst of all of this. And so we're very thankful that our schools are still helping and feeding and doing what they can, and I think that's great. So if you would like to know more about the evening school program, Veronica's actually putting together, because you're not quite done. You're almost done. Would you like to share what you're working on? So for the evening schools, we want to make it a program so that anybody can share easily what's going on in the evening schools. And so we're putting together a Sabbath school program that is geared kind of primary age, but it could be easily modified for younger or older kids. Right. And the idea is just mission stories about our evening schools and different activities and ways that you can help the kids learn about what it's like for these kids in India, what they're really going through, and how the evening school is helping them. Right. And so hopefully we will have that done soon. There's some stories that I still need to put in there, and it's taken a little bit longer because of COVID. We don't have the schools running as normal, and so it's a little bit harder to get some of the stories that we need. But if anyone wants more information on that, feel free to go to our website, send us an email, or contact us, because we'd love to share what the evening schools are doing and give you ways to share with others about the evening schools.
Yeah, so we're going to pop a link down below for the evening school page. Mm-hmm. And one thing I wanted to point out also with the program is that because this is the mission emphasis for a full 13-week, a quarter of material, that the offerings collected by the Sabbath school class would then be sent here to go to the evening schools. Yeah. So the Sabbath school would adopt.
So it's an easy way for a Sabbath school class or a youth group to adopt a school, like we've talked about before, and any funds raised during that time would come here. You could even set up 2 separate offerings. I did this in my Sabbath school class. We actually had a separate offering if you wanted to donate to evening schools, but then the regular one if you still wanted to help support whatever your church normally does with Sabbath school money. So, I don't want you to feel like you have to, oh no, I can't give to my church anymore. That's not what we're trying to do. No. So you could even set up 2 separate offering plates or little banks or something. But we would encourage you to collect an offering that would then go toward supporting the evening schools.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. We really appreciate you sharing these stories and for the work you're doing on this program, because I know it's a lot of work, but it will be a benefit to Sabbath school classes. And these are electronic, so they can go anywhere.
We can print them if that's what's requested, but the idea is that it would just be an electronic program that we can send easily to anybody. And then you can print the materials that you need.
Oh, great. So we're going to look forward to that. So thank you for sharing. And thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in learning more about the projects that Jesus for Asia has, we invite you to go to our website, JesusForAsia.org, and check out the more than 60 projects that we have. And we invite you to pray for the projects that you see. And if you would like to join us and partner financially, we would love to have that as well. But your prayers are what are so important at this time. If you are watching us on YouTube and this is your first time, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. And if you're watching this on Facebook, we invite you to like our page. That way you will get notifications of when we do our shows, and then you can come back and learn more about what is happening in the mission field. Again, we thank you for being with us, and we hope you'll join us next time. This has been your Mission Snapshot.